Hi, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with My People. And okay, we are officially into the beginning of fall. We had Labor Day weekend. A lot of the kids are back at school. Kids are being dropped off at college. They're going back. Some gyms are reopening. Restaurants are reopening. Businesses are reopening. And we don't know how long that's going to be for. They could all be coming back. So we are clearly still in a flux. Things are crazy. There's a lot of energy that's making people very wacky around this election. But, you know, I don't talk about politics, but we're just aware of it. Both sides are pretty frenetic and crazy. The anxiety is up. People are definitely still holding on to some fears. And one thing we know for certain is all of that uncertainty, fear, anxiety provoking lives inside of us. It lives in our bodies. And on top of it, we are literally in what I am calling the pandemic burnout. We are so burned out. You know, first we came out working out really hard and doing a lot of things in the beginning that people were excited, like, oh my God, I haven't gotten to do this. And now I can do it. I have time. And then all of a sudden, they're on to something else and next. And now it's just like people like they are just burned out. Well, I have on a person who I really adore. And I have to tell you something. The first time I spoke to this woman, we had a phone meeting. We were on the phone for 2.5 hours on a Friday night this summer. And I don't do that. Like, I love to talk, but that's even really long for me. The truth is, I just felt like, oh my God, I really met my tribe. I just love her energy. I love what she talks about. I love how smart she is. I love that she's a great listener. When I got off the phone, I thought, oh, I just want to get on a plane and go meet my new BFF. Like, I really felt that in my heart. So I'm really excited about having on, you know, I'm going to say my dear friend, because that's how I feel. Even though we've never really met in person, I just know this is my dear, like, she's a lifer for me. So it's Kellyann Petrucci. And Kellyann is a board certified naturopathic doctor. Okay. She's a certified nutritionist. She's a New York Times best-selling author and a USA Today best-selling author. This woman has trailblazed. She has revolutionized something in the wellness field that now it's a whole category. And that is bone broth and collagen. She's been talking about this before anyone else was talking about what this is. And today you find this everywhere. Everyone is talking about bone broth. I mean, it's like now there's a whole bone broth category in Whole Foods and Air One. I mean, like, this is the woman that started this. Like, this is really huge and it's really amazing. And what I also love about her is she personally understands what burnout is. And I always say, you can't give what you don't own. So even though you can go to school and you could be a doctor and you could learn, but really the people that make something so special, that are what I call the game changers, are the ones that have lived it. And they've lived it and then they've come through it. They had to have the tenacity and the discipline and the understanding to actually make the shifts inside their own body so that they can actually inspire people to get healthy. And that's the layers and layers and layers and texture and richness of what makes this woman really, really special. So now I want to welcome Dr. Kellyann Petrucci. Hi. Hi, Kellyann.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. And I gotta just say a little something back, and that is for the people that are going to be watching this, that are from my tribe, that I'm so happy to be a part of yours now, Lavinia. I want to let everyone know this woman here, Lavinia, by the way, thank you so much for the lovely introduction in addition to having me. But I just want to say, you, my friend, are an extraordinary trailblazer as well. And so for those of you who are going to be watching this that are in my camp that may not have ever met Lavinia before, I want everyone to know that health and wellness would not be where it was and would not have moved as fastidiously as it did if it were not for Lavinia, combining so many wonderful things in the gym space, starting out in the gym space and then creating this whole wellness. So many of us have pickpocketed from your ideas and have moved on. So I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for your positivity. And thank you for embracing what I really love, my DNA, which is health and wellness.
Thank you. So before we start, just because this is a ritual that we always do with our community, is we do 3 deep breaths. So let's just everybody put our feet on the ground, really feel the earth under our feet, even if you're just visualizing it, if you're in your office, and just take 3 deep breaths in the count of 4. Inhale love for 4 counts. Hold your breath for 5 counts. Exhale, ha. Inhale, love. Hold your breath. Exhale, ha. One more deep, healing, love, soul-filled breath. Hold your breath and smile. Exhale, ha. Okay. So we are ready. We're ready to get this going. So first I want to start with, I don't know if everyone out there, especially in my community, really understands what a naturopathic doctor, what makes that the way you approach health and well-being different than what anyone's normal internist.
It's a great question. And, it deserves to be said because we look at things very different than maybe what a lot of people are used to, which is allopathic medicine doctors who look at the body more in a narrowistic property in terms of they look at each organ as a separate thing. Naturopathic doctors truly look at the body as if it were an orchestra. So they don't look at your thyroid or your thyroid as a thyroid problem or your weight as a weight problem. We look at the whole person and how the whole person, how everything about you affects health. And we also want you to be we want you to be active in your treatment program because we know that, you have to be involved and you understand your unique body better than anyone. So we want you to be involved. So a lot of times you'll come in to see a naturopath and they'll sit down and they'll work on a program with you. And there's going to be things that you're going to be responsible for as well to really get healthy or to be a part of this plan. And we also look at the root of the problem. So if you go into a medical doctor's office, a lot of times you're given a prescription because you're saying, I have a cough. I've got a stomach ache. I've got stomach problems. And so their mind goes to, and this is how they were trained. They're not doing anything wrong. It's simply how they were trained. Their mind goes to, how can we get this in recovery mode? How can we shut this down right now and move past this problem? And we look at what is the root of the problem? Why do you have high blood pressure? Why is your blood glucose going out of whack? What is it in your environment, your lifestyle, your thoughts, all of it? Why is this happening? So we really look at the core. And I think what's really important and a big difference is the way we treat you, the actual treatment protocol. Because if somebody comes to a medical doctor and they say, I can't sleep, then a lot of times they'll say, well, here's Ambien, or here's something to start working on different, the pituitary, different parts of your body to shut that down, to help you shut down so you can sleep. But if you go to a naturopathic doctor, Lavinia, they're going to look at you and say, okay, well, let's do this. Let's try some meditation. Let's try some Epsom salt baths. Perhaps we'll supplement with some GABA calm, or something to calm the body down. Perhaps we'll give you some magnesium. Well, maybe you're low on magnesium and we need that to start centering your body. Maybe we need to start thinking about blue blocker glasses. This is the thought process of a naturopath, as opposed to someone who gets Ambien. So it really is looking at the body as an orchestra. We don't, and this is the last and 5th point, and that is, we don't look at the body in terms of absence of disease. And this is really important. We don't look at it, well, you're not sick, so you're fine. Mm-hmm. We really look at fine isn't good enough. We want fabulous. We want you to be at the absolute height so we don't feel like our job is done till we have broken the umbilical cord. And we know that you have the tools that you need to bring yourself to the highest level of health. So it's all of those things that are different than you walking in to see a doctor and saying, you know what, I'm tired. And the process that you go through with, hey doc, I'm tired, to, hey doc, I'm tired, it's a very different paradigm. And that's the key word here. It's a very different paradigm. And my goal, and I feel like one of the reasons I'm put on this planet, is to help people see all sides. Because if you think about what you're doing right now, and what a lot of us do when we're interviewing, we're being journalists in that moment. And to be a good journalist, you have to look at everything. You can't, you have to look at CNN and Fox and MSNBC. You have to look at all of it and understand and have a cultural awareness for all that, a global understanding. So what I try to do is give people who have one perspective, I try to open them and open their mind so they can see that perhaps there's another way that they can lean into that might be better suited for them and their body.
I love that, because even for us in the fitness industry for so long, people really thought that if you were fit, you were healthy. And actually, through my own personal situation, I learned at about 28 years old that, because I was fit. I mean, I was the poster child. I walked in a room, I was like, dang, that girl is fit.
You still look like that.
If you watch me work out, it was like, wow, like she's a beast. And I jumped up out of bed one day and bam, landed flat on my face. And I was like, wait a minute, like what, how could this be? How could I be so fit? And this is happening to me. And that began my journey at a young age to realize, okay, what does it really mean to be healthy? Because being fit does not mean being healthy. And then I literally got on that, started excavating what that was. And, 2 to 3 years later, after doing a lot of different things, starting with what you talked about was meditation and journaling, and then emotions and mental. And I realized that, okay, in order to be fit, you had to be spiritually fit, mentally fit, emotionally fit, and spiritually fit. And, I mean, when we first launched that, because we launched a wellness center, I mean, Kellyann, I got hate mail from people saying, I can't believe you're involved in this quackery, Lavinia, because it was so new. People didn't understand that, so I love that you're saying that, because again, I remember going to my internist at that time, because now I was shifting into a nutritionist, more of like a functional medicine nutritionist. And my internist had to do the blood work. And I remember telling him what I was doing. And he said to me, and at the time I also suffered from ongoing sinus infections. And he said, all right, I mean, it's certainly not going to hurt you. I don't believe it's going to help very much.
That's the standard reply.
It's going to hurt you. And the truth is, it changed my life. Like I didn't have a lot of those, things that I got, which were, those sinus infections, or I got some eye stuff. And I definitely had these little things. I mean, I was still in my 20s, but it was allergies. And once I started, noticing what they were, and I started putting, covers on my pillows and on my beds and all these things that we then learned about allergens, and start putting really great air filters in my house, and started taking quercetin and, turmeric and some of the other things for inflammation. I started doing the neti pot and some other things, and you start having these rituals, then all of a sudden, boom, I didn't get it.
Can I just say, in regard to that, I cannot tell you how many people would come in the office and they struggled with allergies and were on every medication. That's one of the things that people came in with. I think like headaches and allergies, there's a couple of them that fall into these buckets where it's so common, and they come in with just an absolute downstream of medications. And if you put somebody on things like astragalus, quercetin, neti pot, you do sinus drainage, it's unbelievable. And I have to say this, sometimes you have to put your hands on people. It's part of the healing process. So when you have sinuses or allergies, that's one of those things where you want to get in there. You want to strip those sinuses. You want your hands on the body. So, these are all elements. I mean, that's a perfect analogy of why someone would be much more befitting going to that kind of doctor, a more natural doctor. And back pain is another one. If you go into a doctor with back pain, another very common symptomology, you're going to get medications and surgery. That is what they know how to do. So look at the job description of the person with whom you're seeking, because you have to understand cutters cut. If you just understand that. So that's why there's another paradigm which looks at the body in a softer, more natural, more earth grounded way. And that needs to be just exposed to people so they have that as a frame of reference and an option.
Well, I think, more than ever, because if you think about it, even in the last 6 months with all this COVID, everything keeps saying, well, it's probably, you'll be able to go through it, a lot easier if you don't have any pre-existing conditions. You don't have any pre-existing conditions. So everybody's listening pre-existing. And then I'm hearing people say, well, I don't have pre-existing conditions. I don't have and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. You don't look so healthy to me. But because they haven't gone to a doctor and had some kind of diagnostic that says they have it, they were
back to my initial point.
That's
what of a tag of disease. It does not mean you're at your highest good. And so the people that are getting COVID, that are having very weak and poor outcomes, they're those people. They're those people. It doesn't mean that you weren't tagged a label. You've got autoimmune, you've got heart disease, you've got diabetes. It doesn't mean that. And I have to tell you, there's also levels of dysfunction in the body that go between the lines, I call it. Mm. So you could have a test that doesn't show something actively happening in your body, but you're right there just enough to get those symptoms, just enough. So you always want to have your body, again, where we call it your internal milieu. And this is the cells and all the fluids that are surrounding the cells. You want it to be healthy, vibrant, and you want to be alive, really feel alive. And I can walk through an airport and I can go to all these different places where there's a population of people. And it's interesting when you've been doing it as long as I have, over 25 years, you can actually, you're like, you do the scans and you can actually see, oh, this person, their gut, not good. Oh, that person, thyroid, endocrine system out of whack. There's so many tells because your physiology does not lie.
Okay, that's great. So why don't you give us some of the signs? Again, I talked about this being a pandemic burnout, right? People are, so give us some of the signs that we would know. Are we on the edge of that burnout? Are we on the edge of some not such great stuff, right?
Yeah, here's a big tell, actually, funny enough, and it's not something, it's so commonplace that we don't really key into this, but when you're gaining weight, especially around your belly fat's a really big sign, because one of the things of stress, and you and I were talking about this the other day, is this whole idea of cortisol and cortisol spiking. And you have to understand that when your adrenal glands, which are going to release this cortisol, when they are pushed and pushed and pushed, because you keep pushing yourself, and we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about that, you pushing yourself, and why we do this, because I want everyone to know there's nothing that I covet more than being a tiger. So I want to know, what is that fine line of how do you be a tiger and not burn yourself out? Because that's the question. Yeah. Because we all want to do, what we want to do, and we don't want to go through this burnout. So when your body is experiencing this stress because you don't have boundaries, you're not saying no, or many, many others, a million other reasons why you could be burning out. That cortisol is pushed. And then what happens is that the DHEA, progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, all of these other things that your body produces, it all gets out of whack as well. So do you understand that now you have a storm happening in your body? You have a chaotic storm happening on the body, and then you go into adrenal fatigue. And this is when your body starts to crash. So that's when you go into the doctor and you say, Doc, I'm really tired. And they say, oh, you're really tired? Okay, well, let's think about it. Are you sleeping? Are you having problems sleeping? Well, if you're in adrenal fatigue, probably not sleeping. Well, then let's prescribe you something to get you to sleep better so you're not tired. I mean, this is how the conversations go. So we have to really, the trick is keying into your body, being aware of things like, are you bloated? Are you constipated? Are you gassy? Do you feel tired? Do you feel old? Do your eyes look dull and sunken in? Is your skin blotchy? Is your skin lifeless? Do you have brain fog? Are you anxious most of the time? I think one of the main things, are you enjoying life less and less and less and less over a period of time? All of these things are indicators that your body is really shifting into a place where it doesn't want to be. And that is when all of your active systems in your body, that everything that activates these gateways and channels that you have in your body, they're not functioning completely like that symphony we discussed. That symphony is being, there's the violin is out of whack. The trumpets aren't playing right. So we have to start really de-numbing ourselves, because the problem is this goes too far, Lavinia, because we are too numb. We're too numb. So really this is a wake-up call. This really is, and I believe this pandemic for a lot of us is a global wake-up call for us to wake up and key into our body. We're given a gift in a sense that this is showing us how dire it is for us to have our immune system running at the highest level, and for us to be at the highest level of health of all time, second to nothing. And that's one of the lessons. So really paying attention to those signs and symptoms, and stopping in that moment and saying, why am I doing this? Why is this happening to my body, instead of just going the next day and the next day and the next day?
Because I'd love to give the audience some, concrete tools that they can sort of use, So, okay, we're all feeling a little bit of that. Okay, I've noticed I'm feeling this. Now you stop and you say, okay, why am I doing this? You connect to maybe the robotic reasons of why we do this, which I know for me is always fear, fear of something, so if I connect to it, then what are some other things that we could do to start shifting that, to bring us back to a place of, harmony, or the orchestra being more working together? Like, what would be things that you would say, these 3 things start shifting you?
The first thing you have to do is shift your mind. And I know that may not be what everyone wants to hear, because a lot of people that, follow myself, and I'm probably you too, Lavinia, they want to hear the food hacks, and we'll get to the food hacks. But, there's things that come first. And you really have to, having a mind that works for you, actually it's deliberate. And it has to be more deliberate than a lot of people realize. You have to learn how to train your brain to work for you, not against you, because your brain is really set up to keep you alive. That is the mechanism of the brain. And a lot of times it can trick you in a lot of ways. And you have to be very, very clear and centered in your thoughts and in your desires, and really having your boundaries that work for you. All of these things have to come first, because it doesn't matter what you're eating. If you are in a situation where you're looking out for everyone else and not yourself, you're never going to get to that point. I don't care what you're eating. Okay, you have the mind and the stress and all these things. These are the top of the tier. So I would say the top of the tier, guys, you have to be able to get sleep. If you can't get sleep, we need to talk. That needs to be hacked out immediately. You've got to sleep. You've got to drink a lot of water. It seems like an oversimplification. It is not. Half your body weight in ounces a day. Okay? That's what you need to drink. Half of your body weight, whatever you weigh, in ounces a day is the minimum of how much water you should be getting a day. So sleep, Things like keeping the room at 65 degrees, big, big game changer for people. Understanding, you know, what to shut down before you go to bed to get your mind to shut down, little things like that. Sleep, water, getting your mind straight. In other words, one of the things that I do, one of the exercises that I do is that I run my own TV show in my head. So it's the Dr. Kellyann show. And what is the Dr. Kellyann show? The Dr. Kellyann show is that I am going to soak my cells in the life that I want. Period. End of story. So my living and my being how I am is I enrapture myself into thoughts that, you know, so here's something that you can do. You can see your life as you want it 3 years from now and put that in your head, run that TV show, talk about it, say it. Hey, you know, this, and go through every section of your life, go through your finances, go through your health, go through your relationships, you know, everything at your job, whatever that is, go through those 4 sections and saturate your body. Say, I'll give you an example of what I do for myself physically. I tell myself, my skin is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, it seems to be getting younger and younger every single year. My eyes are so piercing white and my body, it's like a ballerina. I'm strong and I'm lean. And I tell myself this. And I go through every section of my life, you know, my workplace, what I want to revolutionize, whatever that is. And I tell myself, and I do it every single morning. It's like drinking water to me. And so what happens is you're putting your mind, your body, your cells in that state before you start your day. And I am telling you, it's all about a high vibe life. It's all about a high vibe life. And so get yourself in the right vibe. So let's go through that again. You want to make sure you get sleep. If you can't get sleep, let's get that figured out. You want to make sure you get water. Half your body weight in ounces is the bare minimum a day. The third thing you want to do is you want to get your head straight. Create your TV show, the Lavinia television show. Saturate your body in all of the good stuff. So you're starting your day in such a high vibe, baby, ain't nobody going to get you down. You're already there. So then you start tackling things in the third dimension, I call it. Then you start tackling the practical things. You start tackling things like, what does my plate look like? You know, how much fairy dust can my body handle? So when I say fairy dust, so I studied primal medicine. I studied primal nutrition for many, many years. And basically what that is, folks, is that's foods that work best with your body's DNA. I became very interested in how our bodies formed over time, how our bodies and our lifestyle created itself over a period of time. And I come to realize through a lot of research, I mean, I'm talking New England Journal of Medicine, like really good research, that there are foods out there. I'm sorry that it's not more mainstream that people know this. It's becoming more and more and more so, but there are foods that work best with our body. We have to learn what they are. We have to understand that there are foundational foods that work well for our body, but then there's personal play. So there's foundational foods, there's the carbs, the fats, the proteins, and the carbs. Always think about it like two lanes. There's the energy carbs and there's the carbs that give us fiber. So it's the green stuff and the energy stuff. So you've got the protein stuff. What works best for my body? Are you more fish and eggs? Are you more of a person that can have a little bit more, meats? This is personal play, guys, and you start feeling this out and figuring this out. So then your plate, so that's your that's your core foundation. Then there's the fairy dust, and there's the other stuff that I really, really love, and I don't want it to be a never. Well, get the inflammation out of your body, guys, and it doesn't have to be a never. The more fairy dust you can have is completely reliant on how clean and pure that you have created your body. Now, no one wants to hear that. They think, oh God, that's too hard. It's weird. It's too much money, all these little stop gaps. And I'm here to tell you, after doing this for a very long period of time, it is in your best interest to find out what foods work best with your body, put in your personal play, and buy the foods that are the best quality that you can afford without stressing you out. Now, I'm going to say that again. The best foods that you can afford without stressing you out. Because remember, we talked about those tiers. That whole TV show, that whole mind thing that we're doing, that's all about flooding your body with stuff that is the magic eraser of cortisol. okay? And all that stress and all that fear. That's why we do that. It's not healthy. We don't want that. But buy the foods that you can most afford. Now, I want you to be honest with yourself, because if you're walking around, and I'm going to tell you straight up, this is what I saw. If you're walking around, you're perfectly manicured, you've got a Chanel bag, and you've got your Louis Vuittons on and everything. You come into my office and you say, Dr. Kellyann, I went to Trader Joe's and that organic pasture grass finished stuff that, you know, that, I mean, who would pay that? So my point is, when you're talking about what is the quality of food that I can afford, just be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself with what you really can afford, because it will serve you well in the long run, because that's what will nourish your body. That was a very long-winded answer, but I had a lot to say.
Oh, I love that, because it's really all your points were right on. So I definitely want to get to the bone broth, but I want one other question. When somebody is feeling good, because I really believe a lot of people don't know what it really means to feel good. People think it's normal that they wake up and that their wrists hurt and that their ankles hurt.
Unquestionable.
They think it's normal that they get a little constipated and bloated. Like, I think people have this tolerance for being unhealthy. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't have tolerance for that. I mean, maybe because I've been on this journey for 30 some odd years. So as soon as I feel a little bit of discomfort, I'm like, okay, need to reset for the next.
You reached your horizon. You reached your horizon point. And that's what you and I are trying to do. We are trying to gather people so they can understand what their horizon point is. And the reason why people don't feel that they are accepting of fine instead of fabulous, or even sub-fine, is because you don't know that sweet, tender horizon point where you actually wake up, guys, and you have energy. You have energy. You actually feel good. You actually want to talk to people. You want to be around people. You feel good. You know, it's the kind of person that everyone wants to be around. There's a reason why some people collect people the minute they walk into a room. It's all because you actually like your life and you feel good. Yeah. You actually like, and this is attainable. This is attainable, but you have to really, you know, there are some things that to live a life of health and wellness, there are some things that you have to come to terms with.
Yeah, I mean, accountability, right?
Yeah.
Be able to look ourselves and be honest and be accountable. You know, I always love when people say to me, oh, Lavinia, what do you use on your skin? Lavinia, what do you use on your skin? Or what doctor do you go to for Botox and this? And I'm thinking, like, I am so, like, you should not be asking me what I use on my skin, because I really feel like, for the most part, for my skin, I could literally just put olive oil on it.
Yep.
I could put anything on it. It doesn't matter, because the truth is, I am getting the sleep. I am, like, years ago, I had skin issues because I had a lot of inflammation in my body. But as soon as I got the inflammation out, it was like, I looked 15 years younger. I remember walking into my mom's and she's like, I think I was 45. She's like, did you get your eyes done or your face done? I looked at her, I said, Mom, I see you all the time. She goes, you've never looked so great. But I know it was because I was getting balanced. You know, I was definitely getting balanced in the equilibrium of me. I was sleeping, I was connecting to nature. I was in my happy place. You know, I wasn't proving my worth. I wasn't, you know, I was like living it. I was being it. I was in the I am. I was one with whatever. And when you start living like that, you do get healthier and you feel well. I want to talk about the collagen, though, because I mean, it's just so amazing to me, the bone broth rather, because how did you figure this out? Like, how does that, like, how did you download that? Like, what was that like when you were like, all right, I'm going to bring this forward because this is going to be a game changer in people's health. Like, I love that.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate that. I will definitely receive that. And it was a process of how this happened. It started with me being in love with ancestral medicine and nutrition and understanding what we used years and years ago to get people well when we had nothing. One of the teachers I had in naturopathic school, I'll never forget, it was a Russian professor. And he said, where I come from, we had nothing. We had nothing. We didn't have all this fancy stuff to get people well. We had to use the nuts and bolts. And one of the reasons why I was so attracted to ancestral medicine is I felt like not only was it using things that work so beautifully in the body, but I felt like it used these nuts and bolts type of food. And while I was so spun out on bone broth, because when you do what I do and you see one thing that does so many things, you get super stoked. I mean, I'd never seen anything heal the gut like this. I just hadn't seen anything heal the gut like this. I hadn't seen anything be so restorative. You know, it's something that gave you energy, but at the same time, you know, helped you sleep at night, that made your skin better. That was the best way, the best toolbox item to help you lose weight in the safest way, in the most pleasurable way. It was the best thing I've ever seen for cravings. It was, I mean, even my teeth started feeling stronger when I started using it because the, you know, the chondroitin in there and the glucosamine and there's people that had joint pain and it went away and inflammation went away. And there's so many women that are battling with, like, you know, the bags under their eyes. I don't ever get any of that. And I'm not bragging. It's not to impress anyone. I'm only saying it to impress upon you. I know it's because I have bone broth in some form every day because I love it and I enjoy it. And I know what it can do for me. And, you know, I'm out there in the forefront of the public, and it's important for me to have energy, to be restored, to be true and authentic to my message. And for those reasons and many others, I have it in my diet every day. And it's not unusual for people to say, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. You can't be that old. You can't. This is very typical. And I know that you come across the same. This is a typical part of my life. Rarely do I meet someone where they're not, you know, they're not shocked. And honestly, all it is using something that works well with my body, but just does so many different things. And so, like many women, when I got into my 40s and I hit a wall and a lot of the things I was doing wasn't working. And here I was on the clinic floor helping so many people and pioneering so many different things. I wasn't feeling myself. And it wasn't until I finally realized, you know, what is it that I can use? I mean, I had to really tap into what is it that I'm feeling. And the word that came out was burnout and depleted. Like, really, let's name what's happening. So I really had to tap into myself. What is it that I'm feeling? I'm feeling deep, stark burnout. I'm feeling incredible depletion. And that's turning into sadness. It's turning into dark circles under my eyes. It's turning into flat hair. It's turning into skin that I was always prided myself on my skin, and my skin didn't look good anymore. I just started aging like rapid fire. I started putting weight on around my gut, and that just was not me. Started putting weight on and started feeling listless. And then, of course, you get grumpy. And the only answer I got from every single doctor or anyone else that I would conspire with and say, look, you know, my colleague, this is what's going on. Well, you have children now. Of course you feel that way. You have children now, and you're in your 40s. And this is what I want everyone to know. Again, studying the history of how we came to be and studying what works best with our body. If that is the truth, and I am supposed to feel bad because I have kids, or supposed to feel bad because I'm in my 40s, and if that's genetic, guys, that means everyone would have that problem. Everyone would. It's genetic. Everyone has to have it. Not everyone does. So I didn't buy that. So I knew that I had this incredible thing in my toolbox, and I didn't make it enough of a principle. And the reason why I didn't make it enough of a principle is because I think at that point and stage in my life, other people didn't take it as serious, so I didn't either. And I would never do that again. You know, I tried to, you know, things like the Rachel Ray show. Oh, I got this great thing. You got to have it on. You've got to have it on. But bone broth, ew, yuck. You know, it was kind of, you know, shunned by pretty much anyone.
It wasn't sexy.
Was not. In fact, what I had to go through to get my book called The Bone Broth Diet is a whole other story. That's a whole other story. Because no one, and I said, no, it's bone broth and it needs to be called what it is. So, you know, this is the, you know, this is the kind of the trajectory. And when I started bringing me back to life, little by little, by little, by little, change, that I knew that it was really something extraordinary. And when I started putting it in programs and methods to help people with different things like losing weight, reducing inflammation, getting rid of belly fat, and it was working, and I was testing it out on all these people, I knew that it was going to be something that was going to be bigger than I could really even imagine at that time. I knew, but just did too many amazing things.
So I know we only have a few more minutes, but if someone, how much bone broth should somebody have in their diet?
If they want a regular prescription of bone broth, just, starter dosage, like I don't need a method or a system, just how much do I take? 2 cups a day is very, very helpful. And one of the reasons, or one of the ways that I would use bone broth, particularly for someone starting, is if you're starting to get that afternoon, that dip, or you're starting to feel those cravings in the afternoon where you just want to, you want to eat something sweet. Bone broth is really amazing for that. And just keep in mind that, bone broth has what I call the absolute premier conveyor belt of nutrition, which is toxins out, nutrients in. This conveyor belt that has to be going on all the time because of the way it cleanses the kidneys, because of the way it nutrifies and heals and seals the gut. It is the ultimate conveyor belt, pushing in an abundance of nutrition, pulling out toxins at the same time. So that is really one of the things that make bone broth absolutely exquisite, and why, I spend a lot of time talking about it.
Well, I just received your, I think it's the 5-day.
5-day, yeah.
Yeah. So I was waiting for the weekend to get over. I have one more girlfriend's birthday, and then I'm going to do on Friday, and then I'm going to do the 5-day.
Wonderful. It's a new way of cleansing. And I just, for me, cleansing is not about taking away. Cleansing is about really adding. It's about adding as much nutrients to your body. It's the ultimate in self-care. It really is the ultimate in self-care. And so, it's a love of mine, and I hope it's a love of yours too, Lavinia.
I have to also tell you, my girlfriend, Elise Walker, she loves your bone broth.
I love Elise, and I love her. She's another woman and pioneer. All those stories that she listens to all the time as women that have been coming into her stores. Some of the finest clothes available in her stores. They come in there, and she listens to all the stories of women. I mean, over years and years and years. So she knows.
I remember when she started the bone broth diet with you, she had about 25 women, or maybe more, 40 women that all did it. And everyone really made huge transformations in their life. So I'm excited to start it. And, one of the other things I love about the bone broth, yes, I think, like Elise always says, that your bone broth is amazing. But for people out there that can't afford it, because I love that you said you have to be able to do what you can afford. I mean, bone broth is one of the most sustainable foods, because think about it. It's everything that we're going to throw away. It's like you could go to the store and ask for the bones. They give them to you practically for free. Then you have all your vegetables. I always have a bag in my freezer now. And just because I do buy organic, so the lifespan isn't as long. And just as things before they turn, it goes in the bag. And then I have a big bag of scraps of vegetables, and I do that, and you have it made. So
and that's why your skin looks the way it does. When people are asking what cream, what shot, what this, what that, no, it's that bag of vegetables I've got in my freezer.
Yeah, it's so true.
It's so true.
Gosh. So we're going to put stuff on our website, so people can get on and learn more about it, learn more about your products. Thank you so much. This has been amazing, so informative. I look forward, because people, this woman, yes, she's a doctor, she's wellness, but she is an unbelievable entrepreneur and businesswoman, like really understands the marketplace. So I definitely want to do one for you, because we have so many entrepreneurs that are coming on here and really need to hear what you have to say about entrepreneurship and how to do what you're doing. Because I'm really passionate about that, and I know you are too. It's like really
very much. And I just want to honor something. And I told Lavinia that I have to be off at 4:15 today. I'm on the East Coast, and I usually like to stay longer. And today, we have a very big business situation going on today, in a very good way. But I wanted to, one of the things that I know that your audience loves is this idea of toolkit and this idea of giving tools. So before we hang up, so to speak, I do want to give everyone, you had asked me a brilliant question, and I want to answer that for everyone before we close, which is, you asked me, what foods would you change in the American diet? And I actually want to close with that to give everyone, if I can, a little tidbit of to-dos, and that is oils. If everyone can think really intelligently about the oils that they choose, because we talk about inflammation. Most of the oils that we've been schooled to use, things like canola oil, things like safflower oil, sunflower oil, corn oil, all of these are seed oils, industrial oils, highly, highly inflammable. In fact, folks, most of the time, by the time you throw them in your grocery cart, they're already rancid. Rancid fat means inflammation. Inflammation is the precursor to every modern day disease that we have, in addition to, obesity. So the first thing I would change is I would really go through your cabinet and I would look at the oils, and you want to have things in your cabinet. You want to have things like ghee. You want to have things like avocado oil. You want to have things like macadamia nut oil, which is more expensive. It's more of a treat oil, but it's buttery and beautiful and delicious, and it's really healthy for you. Of course, there's coconut oil, there's olive oil, and then your next phase, I want everyone to start understanding what is the best oils to cook with. Things like coconut oil, things like avocado oil, they have what we call high smoke point. You can cook with those and not get them rancid.
What about, I use grapeseed oil. What do you think of grapeseed oil?
Grapeseed oil is good. Grapeseed oil is good. I like the other oils I mentioned better. Okay. So grapeseed oil is, grapeseed oil is not on the note list, but these other oils have more nutrient density to them.
Okay, good to know.
More nutrient density. The second thing I want to talk about is what we drink. I want everyone to think about what they drink, because a lot of these Cokes and Pepsis and Diet Cokes, people, they don't even think twice about them. Understand that they do two things. They wreck your biome, which is your gut health, and they increase your blood sugar. For those two reasons alone, they should never, ever be an okay in your home. So if you have them in your home, I want you to kind of be intentional right now and set the intention that you're not going to be fine, that you want to be fabulous, that just okay is not going to be good enough, and that you don't want to set the stage for walking away from health, that as of today, you're going to walk towards health. So I want you to start drinking other things. There's something called Zevia out there. It's a natural soda that's sweetened with stevia. Replace it with that. Have some lemon water. Teas are great. There's so many out there today that you can really enjoy. And the third and final thing I would say is, most of the time we look at the wrong carbs. So I want you to start rethinking carbs. We pick the carbs that we pick for two reasons: for energy and comfort. And do you understand that the exact carbs that we pick for energy and comfort absolutely do the exact opposite? Most of the carbs that we pick make us exhausted. And the comfort part, it does exactly the opposite, because an hour after we eat them, we are exhausted and we're bloated, right? We're exhausted and we're bloated. That's not comfortable. That's not comfortable. So, and then the energy, the energy is, so start learning carbohydrates. Take the time to start learning. I don't want to eat this carb because it's not going to give me energy. It's not going to give me comfort. It's going to do the opposite. Let's start learning about what carbohydrates really fuel us in the proper way. So you want to start thinking about things like squash is fine. You want to things like sweet potatoes. Kohlrabi is one of my favorites. Kohlrabi, they are making all kind of different pastas and things out of it. It's a great root vegetable. Jicama is great. These are all things that they're starchier, but they're not going to give you that blood sugar spike, and they're not going to really give you that hit of exhaustion and everything else that ensues from that. So think fiber and think energy. When you're thinking your energy carbs, think about having these natural energy spikers and not the fake ones, because they will get you in trouble every time. So oils, sodas, and rethink your carbs.
Really quick, which is the book that covers all of this stuff?
My favorite out of all my books is the Bone Broth Diet Cookbook, because it goes over the bone broth diet and it also gives you great recipes. So I love that book. That's my favorite.
Okay, I'm going to get that book. Everybody needs to get that book. But seriously, like, I'm sitting here, I just want to write everything down. I mean, one of those I've never heard of. What is it? Kohlrabi?
Kohlrabi. You will love it. They even make kohlrabi pasta. It's called Miracle Pasta. It's great. You'll love it.
have to get that. Oh my gosh, Kellyann, thank you so much. This was amazing. And good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Wink, wink.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone. See you next week.
Bye-bye.